Hello everyone, Paper Gut here with a patch. You know, I go and I work out. I try to improve myself. I come back, open up Steam because I have a coaching session in 15 minutes. Patch is here. Sucks for me because all the replays are gone. But on the flip side, we have a patch. So I'm going to do a quick reaction here. Excuse me. I'm going to do a quick reaction here. What we see in the patch. Kind of do a soft prediction what I think the patch is going to lead to. And well, let's get into it. General bug fixes, fixing issue, Xbox, whatever, fixing issue, risk mastery, okay, whatever, great. Siege changes, Siege workshop cost reduced from 300 to 250 wood, making it cheaper. Springald health, Springald damage increase, all right, so we're trying to buff the Springalds. The big complaint you heard from a lot of people, Springalds felt too weak, and they weren't doing their job of actually cleaning up melee, so the goal is now Springald cleans up melee, Mangonel cleans up range, but not so much that they're like, you can just go pure siege, right? It's a balance of how much siege can you do to supplement your army or give you a little bit of uptick compared to your opponent. Updated Springald text to state unit piercing instead of armor piercing. Okay. Counterweight trebuchet bonus damage of buildings reduced, so trebuchets are weaker, and you've seen a lot more trebuchets because without an ability to kill the trebuchet with Springald, trebuchets can just sit there and work down, and all you need is a bigger army. So reducing the damage a little bit slows down their ability to kill buildings. Same with Bombard. They're trying to, it seems like they're trying to make keeps stronger. They're trying to make it so keeps can last a little bit longer, or towers can and just hold up a little bit more. Bombards bonus damage versus elephants. Bombards counter elephants. Now, if you're playing against Deli and they're massing elephants, you got to go imp. That's the funny part, right? A Deli player can mass them in castle. You can't kill them. Now, the point being, though, is that imp Deli elephants are really the problem. Because in imp, they can get all the upgrades, and they're super, super tanky, and your eco is good enough that you can make a lot of them. Castle, they're a little bit more manageable. So this makes sense. Also reduce the Culverin damage. Culverins also counter elephants. And Culverins gain attack ground. I don't think I'm going to be using that a lot. Team games. Trade income from allied markets reduced by 10%. This is honestly one of the few team game-specific eco changes I've seen. I honestly don't remember one, which is interesting. They usually don't really care much about team games besides like just changing the maps. So this is interesting that they're reducing trade because trade is kind of broken on team games from how I understand it. Late game. All right. So they changed a lot of the late game techs and now they're going back and it looks like they're fixing them. Biology effect reduced from 30 to 25% needed. Cav were too strong. World bloodlines also reduce for those, and let me tell you, the cav spam from French and Jeanne d'Arc made them actually good in imp. Mongols biology also reduced. Hand cannoneer base damage increased. Okay, serpentine power bonus versus melee reduced. So what they're doing is the issue with hand cannoneers is that, like, the issue of imp is that melee units, melee infantry were just getting stomped by everything. And so this looks like them trying to make the hand cannoneers just better against everything, but reduce their specific bonuses against infantry by getting the serpentine powder upgrade. Keep landmarks, fire armor increase. Once again, trying to make defense a little bit better. Offense has been so good in this patch. They're trying to improve defense just a little bit. Reduced elite army tactics makes a lot of sense. Without the health buff, it kind of is not that great. So making it cheaper makes sense, and trying to make it so your infantry can do a little bit more damage. Okay. Yeah, this is all about melee infantry. This whole thing was about making melee infantry more impactful, because the issue is without a health bonus in late game, you just want to go cav, because they actually can meet shield for your ranged mass a little bit better. And cav do better against siege. So if your opponent is making siege to kill your ranged mass, well, now here come the horsemen. And horsemen and knights aren't affected by Springalds. So it was the most obvious late game unit to go for to match with ranged masses. And so they're trying to make it that infantry has a niche as a like more damage doing unit, but still the lack of health on infantry is tough. I get it though. Giving infantry a lot of health as a cheaper unit is tough. So I think the balance is cav have more health, but they're more expensive, but infantry, you can spam them more, but they can do more damage. I think that's kind of like the choice option they're trying to create. Civilization specific. Abbasid, please nerf. Fertile Crescent building, good. It was too much. Camel Archer damage reduced. Yes. The base damage of Camel Archers was such a problem because you can make them in feudal and counter like castle units. So it made castle rushing against Abbasid basically useless. And reduced the extra damage versus light and melee infantry. That's the thing. Camel archers, you want to make spears? Good luck with that. They did so much damage with spears. So the camel, archer, horseman mix was so powerful. I would honestly want to see this reduced even more. I think 10, 12, 13 would actually be better. But once again, I've said this before, small changes better than large changes, and then you just keep working it down. Byzantine, longbow mercenary cost. Yep. Javelin. Yep. They needed to be more expensive. Fix an issue or creep fire. Okay, now it works. Flask ability cooldown. Increase, thank God. This was actually surprisingly good. People who had really worked out and mastered the cav all in for Byzantine, where you would rush castle and just make cataphracts and other cavalry and use the flask to keep them alive, was actually kind of busted. And so raising that from 20 to 45, I think makes a lot of sense and fix a UI issue. China. Adjust the grenadier unit tax. Strictly state they are ranged gunpowder infantry. Good. Sure, why not? Nested bees, range increase. Nested bees, Nested bees are still pretty good. You need to mass more of them to feel the effect, but the tile range increase is nice, especially because they are just getting popped by range. So that gives them a little bit more engagement ability. Imperial examinations effect reduced from 80 to 70. Imperial examinations research cost reduced. So this is the upgrade that allows your Imperial officials to carry more gold. So you went from being able to carry 40 to 80, reduce it to 70. Makes sense. That's my warning for my coaching session I have soon. That's why I'm kind of rushing on this. 10. The issue I think they're seeing is that China can kind of survive for a long time without needing to secure gold with the Imperial officials. And this makes it so it's just not as strong. Deli, stick bolstering surveying power are not correctly accounted for in the Hizar Academy, where that was it not? I didn't know that. Sultan Elite Tower for Elephant, buffing the Elite Tower Elephant, which were already pretty good. Now they have bombard counter, but and once again, the bombard counter was so needed. Like there was, if a Deli player could get to Imp, there was literally nothing you could do against Mass Elephant. So I'm glad they have that. Fix an issue where Sultan Tower's elephants are gaining unattended damage of chemistry. Oh, so they're not supposed to get it. Okay. All right. Oh, the idea being is that chemistry is only for siege. And so since tower elephants are considered siege elephants, their hand cannons maybe also got bonus damage or chemistry. That's definitely broken. Glad they fixed that. English, enclosures gold income reduced again. English is still too good in Imp. It's still so frustrating. They get like 60 farms and don't need that much gold. So glad to see this. Network of citadels technology effect reduced from 20 to 10%. More attack speed of network of castles. Known issue, the buff indicator on US citadel states. Okay. Just reducing it. Once again, the defensive ability of English with their network of castles in citadels is so much, man. So I'm glad that's reduced. Cannon bonus damage for buildings reduced. Yep. Okay. Just even better versus elephants. Good for them. Malians fix an issue. Okay, sorry about that, Xbox players. Fix an issue where Serpentine Power used wrong visual weapon for Mustafati gunners. Okay. Oh, yeah, it would change their weapons when you upgraded it. And they're buffing some units for Malians. The Freeborn Warrior increase, that's the new unit for Rimba that has extra ranged armor. So they have more health now. Elite Freeborn Warrior as well as... So they're buffing it. Which is interesting. Once again, having a infantry unit that counters ranged still just feels bad because it's all about, can you catch up to the rain match and can they kite you forever? I need to test it more. You have to play the Farimba completely differently with the changes. If you don't get units in groups, you have to change how you do it. And so I didn't do it very well when I was testing it. I want to go back and test that again. And also they increase Musafati gunner damage. Mongols, fix an issue where Mongol double production springlets had the incorrect cost. Good. Correct an issue with superior mobility not being adjusted correctly. Good. Town center cost reduction from 850 wood to 800 wood. Good for you Mongol players. Traction trebuchet bonus damage reduced from 200 to 190, matching the other trebuchet changes. The con range is now increased with silk bow. Okay, so those who want to run their con through the back of a farm line, it's even easier now. But this is huge for Mongol players. Just giving them another eco ability. Like, it's not just trade. You can go multi-town center. And 50 wood seems small, but when we're talking about timings, we talk about you able to get it down quickly. It really doesn't matter. Ottomans, fix an issue where the early Great Bombard dealt range damage. That's why. So a lot of people were noticing that if you got the feudal Great Bombard because of the Vizier points, so I had that happen to me once. It didn't feel that strong. It's because it was dealing range damage instead of siege. So that makes a lot of sense. Sabahi now have correct damage and attack range. Great Bombard bonus damage versus infantry reduced. Great Bombard damage versus buildings reduced. Early Great Bombard bonus damage first buildings reduced. Imperial Palace radius increase. So that's just, okay, sure. But like Great Bombard nerf, it was still the only siege unit that was like still really, really good from the changes. And so I understand nerfing it. I think it was worthwhile. Sorry, Ottoman players who like to spam Great Bombards. They're so good. They're still good. Mostly just visual changes for Ayyub, nothing big. Jeanne d'Arc. Corrected an issue where Jean could still consecrate keeps in Red Palace is no longer needed because champions are available. Okay, yeah, okay. So it's saying is it used to be you can only make John's champions out of keeps in Red Palace, but now you can make them out of stable and barracks, so you don't need to consecrate those anymore. Excuse me. John's riders and champions now appear in the correct tech tree. Great. John's third level selection of properly states. Great. Cannon bonus damage reduced, just like the other cannons. Bonus for elephants. Great. Jeanne d'Arc Nomad mode starts increase from 3 villagers to 4. Ooh, for you Nomad players, specific to you. Zhu Shi, which has been kind of good. I think Zhu Shi is pretty good this patch. Adjusted Grenadier unit tags to correctly state their range. Same with China. Fix an issue where Grenadiers and Zugnus would get incorrect double benefit from Ming Dynasty. Oh, that makes so much sense. Because going mass Zugnus and Imperial with the Ming Dynasty felt really, really good. I wonder how that's going to affect their late game because it honestly felt unstoppable. Nesta Bees can you upgrade. Dali horses now upgrade not properly against 20% attack speed. It wasn't granting it? Great. Zhu Shi is really set up to be a heavy, like just Zugnu Grenadier Cav in Imp. And I wonder if in Feudal and Castle, I mean, you can do a lot of play with just mass horsemen just raiding constantly while you boom. Ming bonus increase from 15 to 20%. That's good because without hand cannoneers, you can really feel Zhu Shi struggle in late game at times. Which is where you would just do mass Zoogs, but you can feel that. So just getting more damage for unique units, I think is nice. Gather those berries faster, order the dragon villagers. And that's it for the patch. Nothing crazy. Nothing that's gonna like completely change the meta, I think. Just some nice changes. None of these changes I disagree with or think are bad. It's mostly just tweaking what they've already, like the siege changes were massive and they're still feeling the effects of that. And so I think you're just gonna see a lot of patches just affect those. I think these late game changes are still gonna need a lot of chain of nerfs and buffs to different things to make them better. I still think infantry are going to struggle to be worthwhile. I think you're still going to see a lot of cav, which is even the case before these changes. I think Abbasid could use a few more nerfs, but we'll see if that fixes it. But all the nerfs I very much agree with. The counter to the elephants was very needed. And you can see a tend to them wanting to make defense a little bit better, make keeps last a little bit longer. And make Springwolds a little bit better. Try to actually make a legitimate, like the siege should be a counter, but not something you can just spam and win. Though, I mean, if you spam any unit enough, you'll probably win. But I hope you enjoyed that breakdown and my quick little insights on the patch, and we'll see how it affects things. Good luck on your games.